10 minutes in, we're dealt ace-king suited, under the gun +1. The under the gun player straddles. I raise to 35. Player in middle position calls. He's in for a world of hurt. The button calls, the big blind calls, and the under the gun straddler calls. We're going 5 ways to the flop. This is not an ideal situation with a hand like ace-king. The flop comes ace-queen-6 with 2 diamonds. We've got top pair, top kicker. The opponent's check to me. I bet 105 to deny equity. The first player to act behind me calls. Not sure how I feel about that. Wouldn't have minded if everyone folded. No other players called though, so it's heads up. Not too bad. The turn is another 6. I'm first to act. The pot is already bigger than my stack. I only have one option, and that's to rip it in. Since it was a straddle pot, I essentially started the hand with less than 50 big blinds. Happy to get my stack in under these conditions. If I'm beat, I'm beat. My opponent probably would have raised on the flop with any hand that was ahead though. I'm hoping he'll have an ace and call, thinking that we're either chopping, since a lot of times we could both have aces, 6s, and a queen kicker, or maybe he'll think that I'm bluffing with some kind of flush draw. If he has a flush draw himself, I need to shove in order to deny equity. The player is in agony and isn't sure what to do. He ultimately calls. The dealer puts out the river. It's an offsuit 10. The opponent flashes an ace. I table my cards. The opponent says, nice hand, and lets me know that I've got the winner. He shows ace-9, his kicker doesn't play. We scoop a 1K pot right in the beginning and get the night started off with a boom. Here we've got ace-4 diamonds in the big blind. We're going to do this pokercoaching.com style, in which I'm going to present the hand in a multiple choice format. You can pause it if you like while making your decision. Then I'll tell you what I think the best option is as we go through it. The hijack opens at 20. It folds to us. We can either fold, call, or 3-bet to 70. Go ahead and pause to pick your choice if you want. Folding is too weak with a suited ace. We're getting a discount since we're in the big blind. We can't let this go under these circumstances. That's the worst option. I actually don't mind 3-betting. We've got some card removal to make it less likely we're up against a strong hand. The hijack is going to have a relatively wide range, so he should have plenty of hands that he's opening with that'll fold to a 3-bet, and if we do get called, we'll have some playability. This is the only option that allows us to win the hand right away without seeing a flop, so I like it for that reason too, but I think it's just slightly worse than calling for 15 more, getting 2-1, and closing the action. That's what I do. I flat. It's heads up. The flop comes 6-5 deuce. We've got an over, a gut shot straight draw, and a backdoor flush draw. We can either check, bet 20, or bet 30. In this situation, I'm always checking to the pre-flop aggressor. That's the best option. The hijack checks back. The turn is the 8 of hearts, so we've improved to a double gutter. Again, we can either check, bet 20, or bet 30. This is a better board for our range than it is for the opponent's. And after he checked back flop, feel pretty good betting to potentially get some better ace highs to fold and deny equity from other holdings. If we do get called, we'll have plenty of cards that can give us the winner. Checking is my least favorite option. Betting 30 is my favorite sizing after thinking about it, but I end up betting 20. The hijack calls right away. This can be an indicator that the player is on a draw. Perhaps he's picked up hearts. The river is an ace. We make top pair. Should we check, bet 40, or bet 70? Our hand goes from having very little showdown value to having a lot. If the opponent called the turn with an ace-high flush draw, we aren't going to be ahead, so it could actually be a bad card for us. It's possible the hijack floated the turn with some other strong aces that didn't have draws too, since we made the turn bet so small. Missed draws without a pair aren't going to be able to call a bet, but they may take a stab at it as a bluff. The way the hand played, it's unlikely that we're going to be up against pocket kings down to 9s. These are all hands that we're beating that would be able to call a bet. I don't think there would be many 8s in the opponent's range either, since a lot of those would have straight draws on the flop, and he should have bet those at that time. Checking is my favorite option, and that's what I do. Betting small to get called by worse hands isn't too bad either. Betting 70 is my least favorite option because it's unlikely that we'll get called by anything worse, and better hands usually won't be folding. The hijack bets 45. Should we fold, call, or raise to 150? We hit a card that'll often give us the best hand. We didn't check in order to fold. We checked to induce a bluff or keep the pot manageable and get to showdown. We're getting a great price too, so folding is out of the question. There's certainly no need to turn our hand into a bluff. Raising doesn't have too much merit here either. The best option is to call. Sometimes we're going to have the losing hand, but that's not the case in this instance. The opponent turns over king 7 offsuit, made a loose pre-flop raise, turned an open-ender, and then bluffed river after missing. We win.
You're trying to get some Bradley dollars, huh?
I failed that time. I'll get them later, don't worry.
Okay.
Opportunity number 2 to get some Bradley dollars comes quickly. I'm dealt pocket 9s on the button. Same opponent from the last hand opens at 20 for middle position. I call.
Right away, a second chance, all right.
Second chance. Big blind also calls. 3 of us are still in. Dealer puts out Queen 7 deuce rainbow. It's the quintessential dry board. Probably didn't even know that I use words that big. Well, I do. That's right, 4 syllables. Thought there was some chance it was 5 because I'm not that smart, so I looked it up. Turns out it is 4. Not sure why you guys are even making this such a big deal. Let's get back to the poker, please. We all check. The dealer lets me choose any turn card I want, and I decide that a 9 would be okay. Just like that, we've got a set. Checks to me, I bet 30. The big blind lays his hand down, the middle position player calls. I put him on some type of draw.
What do you need?
Huh?
What do you need?
What do I need? I don't know. What do you need?
The river is another 7. The opponent checks. We make a boat, and we're going to be sailing away with all the money. The draw's missed, so I don't think I can get called by much other than a queen, which is unlikely given the action, or a 7. Those hands will be willing to call a larger bet, and that's why I make it 100. The player folds quickly and says,
I didn't need the 7.
9 was not a good card for you either, man.
I was still live. I was still live.
Thank you.
I have enough left for it.
I profit $72 at the second table before getting involved in a bomb pot at the third table. Everyone agrees to put in 20, but we do it in order after getting dealt the cards to avoid any potential gaming issues. 8 of us see the flop. It comes 9-6 deuce with 2 diamonds. I look down and have Jack 9 offsuit with a jack of diamonds. I've got top pair with a medium kicker and a backdoor diamond draw. I look up and see that the big blind is firing for 65. The under the gun player folds. The action's on me. 6 other players involved at the moment, and one that has showed significant strength by betting from early position into 7 players at the time. I have a medium strength hand at best. The range I put the big blind on is a set, 2 pair hands, over pairs, better top pairs, potentially flush draws, straight draws, or combo draws. Here's what that range looks like, including a ton of weak diamond combinations, which I don't think you necessarily bet with. Against the widest range we could possibly put our opponent on, our hand is still a pretty big underdog. Couple that with the fact that there are very few turn cards that we want to see, and multiple players left to act. They could put in a raise, causing us to potentially light $65 on fire if we call. We're not in great shape. For that reason, I'm out. I fold around to the small blind, he calls. The turn is one of those few cards that I would have wanted to see. It's actually the best card in the deck, being the last 9 that's not a diamond. The small blind checks, the big blind slides in a stack of yellows. The small blind folds, showing 5-3 of diamonds, and the big blind shows ace-4 of diamonds. Probably aren't 2 better hands that I could have been up against, and I obviously would have been in great shape if I called. Poker's much easier when you know what people have and you can minimize variables, but I wanted to go through this to show that it's important to make the best decisions you can based on all the information you have available at the time. Try not to focus on the outcome too much. I still believe folding the flop is the most profitable play in the long run. I pick up Queen Jack suited in the hijack. It's a straddle pot. Under the gun +1 limps in. I raise to 40. The limper calls. We're heads up. The flop comes Queen 10 deuce with 2 hearts. The opponent checks. I bet 45. Under the gun +1 decides that he wants to play for all of it. He shoves for 315 total. This is where the table talk gets pretty interesting.
Can you show me one? Man, I feel like we're flipping here.
I flip over the jack of spades, then a few moments later, the opponent shows that he's got a jack of his own. There's no way I could possibly be behind. This should be a lesson to you to never flip over a card. You should generally not engage in table talk when people are asking you questions.
Alright, I call.
Alright.
I think we're gonna chow this one up, man. I got a queen. Yeah. Alright. That's fun.
Alright. Welcome to the table.
And you?
He doesn't show him the Jackie Fold. You don't show the Jackie Fold.
I honestly don't know if I would have folded or not had I not seen the jack. Once I did, I thought we were probably chopping. You can hear my voice after. I don't seem particularly excited to win. And I actually felt bad because he's a nice guy, but I guess that's poker. And maybe by him doing that, it'll serve as a good lesson for everyone watching not to expose cards. That's it for this session. I take out the profit stash and add it back to the stack in front of me. I was only in for the initial 500, so I book a nice win.